I've always prided myself on being the kind of man who does right by others, a dedicated husband, a loyal friend, and a hard worker. That's why, when my wife Clara decided to show off her affair as if it were a badge of honor, I was blindsided. But I'm not the kind of man to lie down and take it without a fight. This is my story. The story of how I made sure everyone knew Clara's dirty little secret, and how I walked away with my head held high. Clara and I had been married for 8 years. I thought we were happy, or at least content. Sure, we had our disagreements, but what couple doesn't? I never imagined she'd stray, let alone flaunt her infidelity in such a brazen way. It started subtly at first, her staying late at work, her phone screen suddenly angling away when I walked into the room. Then came the unmistakable clues. A forgotten receipt for a fancy hotel, a faint whiff of cologne that wasn't mine, and a growing distance in her eyes. I confronted her one evening, not with accusations, but with a plea for honesty. "Clara, is there something you need to tell me? You've been different lately." Her response was chillingly nonchalant. "If you must know, yes, I'm seeing someone else. His name is Michael, and honestly, he makes me feel alive in ways you never could." The words hit me like a freight train, but what shattered me was her utter lack of remorse. She acted as though her betrayal was my fault, as if I'd failed her by being too stable, too predictable. I spent the next few days and a daze trying to reconcile the woman I loved with this stranger who didn't care about the destruction she caused. But the final straw came when she began openly flaunting her affair. Clara started posting pictures on social media, her and Michael at fancy dinners, on weekend getaways, even at a concert where we had once celebrated our anniversary. The captions were unapologetically smug, living my best life and finally found my happiness. The sheer audacity of it all ignited something in me. I was done being the victim. If Clara wanted to live without consequences, I would ensure she'd face them in spades. Clara worked at a prestigious marketing firm, a job she loved and often bragged about. She was well respected there, known for her creative campaigns and polished image. Her office was also where Michael worked. He was her boss, her married boss, as I would later find out. I've never been one for rash decisions, so I took my time planning. First, I collected evidence. Clara had been careless, leaving her phone unlocked and her laptop open. Over a week, I compiled screenshots of their texts, photos of their rendezvous, and even a copy of an explicit email exchange where Michael referred to her as his queen. I felt sick to my stomach, but I pressed on. This wasn't just about exposing Clara. It was about reclaiming my dignity. Once I had everything, I crafted an anonymous email and sent it to her company's HR department. The email detailed their affair, included the evidence I gathered, and highlighted how their relationship violated the company's strict policies against workplace romances, especially those involving a power imbalance. I made sure to point out that such behavior could tarnish the firm's reputation. The fallout was swift and brutal. Within days, Clara's perfect world began to unravel. HR launched an investigation, calling her and Michael in for questioning. Gossip spread like wildfire, and her colleagues, once her friends, began whispering behind her back. Michael, fearing for his career and marriage, tried to distance himself from Clara, claiming she had pursued him. That betrayal cut her deeply, a taste of the pain she'd inflicted on me. But I wasn't done. Clara's social media antics had painted her as a carefree, empowered woman living her best life. I decided to use that to my advantage. I created a post of my own, sharing a photo of us from happier times with a caption that read, 8 years of marriage thrown away for an office fling. Funny how the people who preach loyalty, the loudest, often practice it the least. The response was overwhelming. Friends, family, and even acquaintances flooded the comments with support for me and condemnation for Clara. People who once envied her perfect life began to see her for who she truly was. Her polished image crumbled, replaced by the reality of her selfishness and deceit. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding my life. I started going to the gym, picking up old hobbies, and reconnecting with friends I had drifted away from during my marriage. I even began therapy to process the betrayal and ensure I didn't carry bitterness into my future relationships. Clara, on the other hand, was spiraling. She lost her job. Michael was fired as well, and their affair became the subject of office jokes and industry gossip. Michael's wife filed for divorce, taking half of everything, while Clara struggled to find new employment in a field where her reputation was now tarnished. One evening, months after the storm had passed, Clara showed up at my door. She looked worn down, a shadow of the confident woman she'd once been. "I made a mistake," she admitted, tears streaming down her face. "Can we fix this?" I took a deep breath, feeling a pang of pity, but no desire to reconcile. "Clara, you didn't just make a mistake. You made a choice, over and over again, to hurt me. I've moved on, and it's time you do the same." That was the last time I saw her. In the end, exposing Clara's affair wasn't about revenge. It was about justice and self-respect. I refused to let her actions define me or diminish my worth. Life has a way of balancing the scales, and while Clara's choices cost her everything, they gave me a new lease on life. Today, I'm happier, healthier, and wiser, living proof that even the darkest chapters can lead to brighter days.